Today, let's discuss how we can use some useful Excel functions to make our worksheet more compact and tidy. This mainly involves the use of function to extract certain characters from a cell. Now, let's start from our previous example. Remember, we have an MPF weight declared separately in these two cells. But in fact, that looks ugly because we use a separate cell, we refer it every time. Actually, we can put the 5% here, and then we use some Excel formula to extract this 5% from the cell. How do we do this? To extract from the rightmost side of a cell, F1 say, we use the function right. The right side, because so when I tap right and then we refer to this cell F1, and because we will absolute it to row 1, so we put a dot sign there, and we take only the three characters. This way we will get a 5% here, but this is not desirable because it ends with a closing bracket. So we can use another Excel function called left to extract only the left side of a cell. Now we only need 2 characters, so we use left and then 2. You see, we finally get a 5% here. In Excel, we can put function inside another function. What does this mean? That means we can combine these two cells together in one function, like this. Here, this will return 5% plus a closing bracket. So we treat that 5% plus a closing bracket as a value. This 5% plus a closing bracket as a value, and then we extract 2 characters. You see, we have a function right inside another function left, and the right returns a value, returns directly a value 5% plus a closing bracket, and then we use the left to truncate the end bracket, and finally get a 5%. But that is not complete the question, because we are calculating the MPF like this, calculating range. So we can further modify the function. Use the wage E2 here, plus 100% minus this value, then a closing bracket. So this will return the value we want, and we autofill it. Now you see, I could delete it, and all the value works very fine. Now I'm going to talk about another useful function called indirect, which will further make our Excel sheet compact and tidy, especially when we want to summarize data. Remember, when I talk about left, it returns directly a value from a cell. In fact, it is true for most of the Excel functions except indirect. What does this mean? When we use most Excel functions like left, right, or summation or whatever, we are returning a value. But when we are using another function called indirect, we are referring a reference instead of a value. For example, we indirect E9. E9 has nothing, no reference, but if we put E9 to be F8, which is the sum the summation of some value. This is F8. Then this indirect, it will first get the value of E9, and then it get F8. So the whole thing, this thing, will become F8. So in short, we are telling Excel we want to get the value of F8, and this is the power of indirect. You may wonder, why do we use indirect? Why don't we directly refer to this value, say like this? Yes, we can do so. We can directly do so. But you can imagine, in case of summary, for example, when we want to summarize data from July, August, September, October, and so on, from different worksheets like this. Previously, we can do it column by column. You see, we can use a equal sign and then this July, so we click the July sheet, and get the corresponding cell, and finally press an enter key to end the function and get this value. Yes, we can do so, and then we repeat the step for all other cells, for all other months, all other columns. But it takes time to repeat the same process. In Excel, if you use indirect wisely, we can avoid wasting those time. How do we do this? You can see an example here. Let me repeat it from scratching. Now we started with indirect, and then because we want to get the worksheet first, the worksheet name starts with 2023, so we enter manually 2023. But inside indirect, we have to use a double quotation to tell Excel that we are using a string value, which means we are typing 2023 and 2023, and we use another Excel symbol N. This N is Shift 7 on the keyboard to join different separated string into one. We use N, and then we use B1, July, B1. We put an F4 here to make it absolute to row 1, and we use another N, and we use a double quotation again. B1 will be July, so we will start with an exclamation mark and a cell name. The cell name is F2, and we end it with another double quotation mark. We will get the result 475. You see, 475. Well, we may try to do this, but you may find it very strange. All our 475. What's wrong? Within indirect, when you take a look at the last value, when we press F2, all the auto-generated value, they are referring at F2. But for Ben, for Coco, this is F3, F4. You see, this F3, F4, not F2. So how can we dynamically to make it becomes 2, 3, 4? We remove this 2 first, and then we use another N, and we press row. When we press row, when we use this function row, we are telling Excel to get the row number, which is 2 of the cell that is selected. And we finally end with an enter key press, row. So in short, this thing is equals to telling Excel, please refer to the worksheet 2023 B1 is July, 2023 July, and that in the 2023 July worksheet, please get the cell F2, because row here is 2. That means row 2, cell F2 of the worksheet 2023-9. And then we auto-generate here. Now we get the value. But the thing doesn't end here. Remember, if we don't do this, we have to repeat manually August, September. Now, with the use of indirect, we can simply use the same function. You see the same function, because here is B1, but when we auto-generate it, it will become C1 because we didn't fix row column C. So it becomes August. It would automatically take August column. You see, this is the power of indirect. Please bear in mind that Excel is very sensitive to space bar. What does this mean? If we put a space here, July, and end with a space, things will become error. Values error. Because Excel is reading July plus the space as a worksheet name, but the worksheet name is in fact to July without an ending space. And this ending space is an invisible error. You can see when after we finish entering things, we will never discover there is a space at the end. So this should be careful. And sometimes the data may not be prepared by you. Your colleague may prepare data and they will include some space by accident. So if you find error, you may check through this. Is there the cells that you refer that it contains space which make the result undesirable? So we will remove a space and everything back to normal again. So that's the end of the advanced lesson of referring to a cell. See you next time.